Hey, it's Liz D'Alto, and this is the Untamed the Wild Soul Woman podcast. From body image, sex, spirituality, money and relationships, to motherhood, creativity, business, communication, and desire, Untamed the Wild Soul Woman is the place to come for real stories and powerful advice to help you reclaim and redefine womanhood in the 21st century. Liz D'Alto here, your host for Untamed the Wild Soul Woman, a virtual conversation series where I have the obscene privilege of digging in with some of the most powerful and inspiring women I know, and many who I don't know, I know them now, around how they transcend their own struggles and their fears, how they create meaningful lives, and how they do these things their own way without necessarily following all the shoulds and all the supposed tos and all that stuff. So this session is with Dr. Deb Kern, who I have been hearing about for years through our mutual friend, Kate Northup, and had the privilege, Deb officiated Kate's wedding this past summer in 2014, and it was super beautiful, and I've since done a session with Deb, and you can read her formal bio. She's a health scientist, she's a yoga therapist, yoga teacher, she teaches Nia, she's just has more education than most of us can probably consume in a lifetime, but it's not all about the education. She's just this wealth of energy and connection, deep spiritual insight. Her sessions are called Divine Your Life, and that's exactly what it is. And I'm so excited. This will be one of those sessions where those of you watching just get to have a deeper understanding of what your connection to the divine probably could be if you want it to be, or not. It's just available. So thank you so much for your time today, Deb.
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you.
So the first question I'm asking every single person in this series is, what do you love about being a woman?
You know, I love being a soft place to land, actually. I love that. I recognize it's just one of my birthrights that when I'm in my healthiest, when I'm healthy and whole and my needs are taken care of, that being a soft place to land is just easy.
So if anyone listening doesn't even understand what that means, how would you explain soft place to land?
Well, gosh, I've never thought about it, but it starts really with some things that I've learned, which is how to look at a person. So being feminine is being a woman is being receptive. You know, when you look at masculine and feminine, if you look even at like the plug in your house, when you plug a cord in, the masculine is that part and the feminine receives that part. So the feminine is receptive. And one of the things I learned long ago from Carlos Rosas, one of my teachers, was how to be a soft place to land in terms of how I look at someone. Mm. So instead of my gaze going out at them to gather data, I've learned how to let my gaze be open and receptive. It's actually a practice, and I've been told that when I'm talking to people, that they feel seen and they feel heard and they don't feel judged. And that's a soft place to land. And that's just one. There are so many layers, but when you asked me the question, I remember that that's one of the gifts of being feminine and a woman, is to be able to take people, drink someone in, and just to drink them in. And when someone is being attended to in that way, they're healing. It's beautiful. So I love that. I love also what it means to me is being able to expand. So my energy field is always expansive, and it allows people to come in if I want them to, by the way, which I'm sure we'll get to. I'm not just a soft place for everyone to land. I've had to learn about that. But I do love being a soft place to land. Does that make sense?
Total sense.
And then there's just the softness. There's the softness of a female physical body that is a soft place to land. And so if you've ever had the joy of being hugged by a grandmother, it's a soft place to land. Yeah. It's different than a grandfather, which is strong and it maybe feels supportive, but a grandmother's hug is just like a soft place to land. So that's just one way to look at it.
I love that. So let's not waste any time. I want to talk about that boundary thing for a minute. And when you said that I'm a soft place to land, but not a soft place to everyone to land, I thought of another of our mutual friend, Danielle Laporte. One of her favorite blogs of mine of all of 2014 was...
Open heart, big fucking fence.
Yeah. I was like, oh, that's it. Because I know I've struggled with it. I think this is probably inherent to like the heroine's journey, right? Of like, okay, I am feminine. I am meant to be receptive, but I can't let everyone walk all over me. And I don't want to be like this stone cold bitch. So how did you find the balance? So how was your own? What's your story around that?
Well, it's ever evolving.
Yeah.
It's ever evolving. And this is a great conversation. Minutes before we got on together, was talking to Danielle about this exact topic.
Oh, wow.
She will be, yeah. So, in other words, it is ongoing, ever expanding. And so I'll just share what we were just talking about, because cool. This is real time. And this is as cutting edge as you will ever get in terms of how to expand and keep boundaries. I'm telling you, this is really. So you expand. You let yourself expand, and you deny access. You literally, you know how there's like on sci-fi movies, the people walk up and they put their eyes in to get their
the retinal scan,
their retinal scan or whatever. So, and then they get access denied. That's where you do it. You don't even. It's not about boundaries. It's access denied. Access denied, and this is where. I've had to really, this has been a big journey to me. And if these words can help anyone listening, that would be great. And that is, just because you have it to give doesn't mean you have to give it. Yeah. I'm still, and really, and me telling this or teaching this is me teaching what I most need to learn. And so, but I know how important it is. I'm learning this. Just because you have it to give doesn't mean you have to give it. And so many women are, I know you are this way and I am this way and our friends are this way, which is there's so much joy in giving that we often give what we actually needed to keep for ourselves. Or we also give, how can I say this? Okay, just a note to all of you listening, this is advanced. So this is advanced information. You can give to someone, let's say you have it to give, and you give to someone, they can actually use what you just gave them against you. So.
I like how you took that breath for us.
Yeah.
You're like, take that in for a second.
They can use what you give them against you. You really, women, I don't know if you really understand this. I didn't understand this. It can look like you're doing a good thing. It can look like you're helping someone, but actually the energy you're giving them, they can actually turn and use it against you.
Is there an example, whether it's your own personal example or maybe an anonymous example of a client, just so we can because if anyone is, I'm even sitting here going, all right,
so I'll give you an example. This is a common one, so it's not just a personal one. It's a common one. You have clients. Maybe you're a coach, or maybe you're a yoga teacher or fitness trainer or something, and you have these clients that stay after class for a long time, and you can feel it. You can feel that they're nursing on your energy, and but you think, well, they need it. I have it to give, and you keep doing. They will be the ones who don't pay for class. They'll be the ones who'll put the bad review on Yelp or whatever the thing is. Not always, but you have to be wise. You have to really wake up and see, is your energy being received? And are you feeling, here's a rule of thumb. I'll give this one to you. After you've been offering your giving, do you walk away feeling full and whole? If you walk away feeling like you're wounded, leaking, exhausted, you walk away feeling exhausted, that means either you've given what you didn't have to give, or they've taken it and they're already using it against you energetically.
Yeah.
Does that work?
It totally works, and I get it. So I would love, again, here, this is going to be a mega interview for like deep, deep understanding here. Let's talk about energy a little bit.
Okay.
Super vast topic, but I'm going to trust that we're going to hit whatever we need to hit here.
Whatever we need to hit, yeah.
Because there's, I didn't even learn about the subtle body until like 2011. I think that's when I did my first Reiki certification. But even if it's not Reiki, like I think a lot of people, probably the people listening to this, have a general idea. They've probably been to a yoga class. They've probably heard about the chakras. But even if they haven't, can you give us a crash course or like the highlights of what I would want to know about the subtle body if I knew nothing? Well, let's keep it in the context of this, like the giving and receiving, because I think that's where we leak and drain ourselves probably the most as women, yeah?
Absolutely. Well, I think the most helpful thing that I can say, it's funny, I just looked down at I'm sitting at my desk, I have a wand, this magic wand. If I could wave, I just happen to, of course I have a magic wand at my desk. If I could wave my magic wand, I would make it so that people could see their energy field, so that they would understand, because we live in a culture that says if you can't see it, it doesn't exist, it's not real. Or we say, I'll believe it when I see it. Mm-hmm. And really in terms of energy, it's the opposite is true. You'll see it when you believe it. You'll actually start seeing it when you believe it. And I imagine you who are listening believe it. So I think the most helpful thing I can say here is that what's important is that you keep checking in with your energy field and keep reinforcing it. So you live inside of it, and it goes all around you shaped like an egg. And so each morning, I start the morning doing what I call an egg meditation, just because I see the egg around me. And it's pretty simple, and we could teach people if you want or not, or however this works.
Do you want to do it?
Yeah, totally. So
Great.
I think what I'll do, rather than, let's see, should we do the whole thing? Should we do it real time, or should I just explain it?
No, let's do it. Let's
all right,
do it. Let's experience this so people can feel it, yeah?
Okay, yeah. So this is what's most helpful to me. So you want to have your feet, I'm moving my feet so I can have them flat on the ground. Nothing is crossed. And just a little something. Speaking of energy, I'm sitting at my computer desk, and so I have 2 Himalayan pink salt bricks, one under each foot. And that's just something I do for my energy, because there's so much energy, electromagnetic fields coming from the computer, not to mention the kind of sometimes jarring and stuff that I'm doing here. So I have my feet grounded. So your feet are grounded and you close your eyes. So I'll just guide you through it, Liz, cool. And I'll keep my eyes. You'll be the student. So if you're watching, you could close your eyes and take 3 deep breaths right into your heart center. And then imagine a spot about 6 inches beneath where you are in the earth, 6 inches into the earth from where you are. So if you're sitting on the 12th floor of a building, you want to go all the way down all the floors into the earth, 6 inches. And that is part of your energy body. That's your energetic connection to the earth. So we're going to call this your earth star. And take a few breaths and activate your earth star. And then from your earth star, drop a grounding cord all the way down to the center of the earth. So you just imagine energy dropping down. And as we all do it, we end up at the same spot, which is pretty magical. There you go. And from the center of the earth, take 3 breaths all the way up that grounding cord, up through your pelvis and your solar plexus into your heart, and back down again. Now take a breath in from the center of the earth up till your heart and hold it in your heart. And then when you exhale, exhale up out the top of your head. So imagine the energy going up out the top of your head. It just spreads wide open. And just breathe naturally and let me describe something to you. Imagine that when the breath comes up and out the top of your head, it starts to shower all around you like a fountain. So if it were water coming out the top of your head, you can imagine a fountain, water coming up. It would go pretty far up, and then it would start to shower all the way around you. And as it did that, you would be sitting inside of this egg shape because the water would start to shower all the way around you, sparkling silver white water all around you. It'll go back into the earth, and then when you breathe in, you'll breathe it back up again. So let's do that. So you inhale up from the center of the earth into your heart, and as you exhale, exhale up and out the crown of the head. It showers all the way around. It's going to go down now to your earth star. So the bottom is the earth star, and when you inhale, you'll inhale up from the earth star into your heart, exhale and shower out the top of the head. And just do that a few times, and you feel yourself sitting inside of this perfect egg shape of energy. Great. And take a breath in, and just a ha breath out, and open your eyes. So that's what I do. It's quick. I do it oftentimes. I sit in my car before I go in someplace. I always do it before I walk through a shopping mall or an airport, because I'm not clairvoyant. I don't see people's energies like some people can. I cannot see. If I could, I would. But I can't see my energy field, but I feel it. And we all sense. You walk through a shopping mall, don't you feel just like afterwards? People take bits. Some people come into your energy. So I like to get it really good and strong before I walk anywhere. I also add to my egg, I add the prayer, may only love and what's in my highest good be able to penetrate in. And may only what's in people's highest good be able to go out.
That's great.
Yeah, because honestly, we all have things that when they go out energetically toward people, they're not helpful to the people either. And my imagination is really vivid with how I can feel it happening. I can feel that when there's energy that my egg keeps in, because my egg says, yeah, no, you're not going to send that out, then my own energy can clean and purify and recalibrate that within its system, almost like a perfect recycling system. So when I'm really conscious and aware, I can do that. I can recycle my energy.
I love that. So I'll share, when I did my last session with Deb, one of the things that I was working on was just like cutting some energetic cords with my mom, which I'm sure probably if you're watching at some point or another, you can probably relate to that. And the thing that blew my mind that I love exactly related to what you're saying about this is, of course, I'm able to feel like when my mom is hooked into me, and many of us can probably relate, right? We feel like our mom wants to like control and protect. And of course, it's out of this deep love.
Right.
When she's like, well, of course, like you're hooked into her. And I'm like, of course.
Yeah. No,
I'm doing it too.
Exactly.
Because we always want to, and I think sometimes this happens like on the spiritual path or, self-evolution, whatever it is, that we phase into these moments when we do sometimes think we're better than others. Or we think we're more conscious or we're more evolved. And so it's so beautiful for that reminder to be like, no, like I'm going to protect myself from the outside, but I'm going to protect the outside from me too.
Right.
I love that so much because it's just so true.
Yeah, just so true. And it's in the long run, it's protecting you because the law of karma, cause and effect, is alive and well. It's like the law of gravity. It just is. Yeah. So anything that you cause with your energy going out, you'll end up having to get it back. You're going to need to clean up that energy at some point anyway. So you might as well recycle it inside of you and clear it up before you shoot darts out.
Yeah. The other thing I love about this is this visualization. I'm also like I can see these big pictures as you're describing everything. one of the things that we've talked about with many women in this series is literally like your physical body is a miracle machine. Like it's art, it's a genius. Actually, Meg Watterson, another one of our mutual friends, said this really beautiful thing. Again, in the spiritual world, sometimes we want to make whatever the divine is here, our physical bodies are here. Like we make these things better instead of being like, they're one and the same. Like, how do we experience the divine? Through our body. But you're even extending like that subtle body has the same magnificence, that same like the systems, the ability to like recycle and regenerate and renew. It's so amazing.
It's amazing. It's amazing. And we just need to take care of it and let it do. It's when we go unconscious that our entire system suffers. When we're unconscious, then our physical body suffers, our energetic body suffers, everything suffers. Unconscious.
Totally. And what, in your experience, I know you work with so many people in so many different capacities. Mm-hmm. What are the most common ways that people go unconscious, or maybe why?
Oh, well, the why is easy. I think we go unconscious when there's something that we don't want to deal with, period. Anything that's unpleasant we deem that it's unpleasant. We deem anything. It could be as small as being bored, and we don't want to even feel bored. It could be as painful as something horrific, traumatic. So everything in between. So people go unconscious. That is actually the rule of the day. Being unconscious is the rule of the day, because how do you do it? You stay really busy. I mean, watching TV. What do people call it? Binge watching.
Yes, binge watching.
Binge watching, binge anything, binging on anything. But the most common things that are legal are things like binge watching and sugar or alcohol. But I think it's even more. I mean, we all are aware of substances like alcohol or drugs, but sugar in particular, and processed food that. And I'm not talking just from a health standpoint. There are a lot of foods that have a numbing effect. Processed foods, just like your body just goes numb on it, and it's subtle. And because it's pervasive, it's endemic, meaning it's in everywhere. It's hard for people to even know what it feels like to not be unconscious. I know it's why I have a rule for myself that I always travel to a lesser developed country at least every 2 years and stay for a while, because I go unconscious. When you're swimming in it, it's difficult to recognize it's there. The story, one fish says to the other, "Gosh, what do you think about all this water around us?" And the other fish says, "What water? What water? I don't see any water." That's we're swimming in it. And being unconscious. That's why to be conscious takes an effort, concerted effort. It takes a concerted effort.
Yeah, and consistent. So, all right, 2 questions that I have out of what you just said. I'm just going to say them both so I don't forget either.
Okay.
But one, I want to know, so someone like you who's like tapping in all the time and staying super present, super conscious, obviously no one's above being pulled out of that here and there. So are you...
Sure.
Because this has come up in a couple other conversations, how sometimes I just need to use a Harry Potter term, like muggle stuff. Like sometimes
Totally.
I choose, actually, I am going to binge watch something. I need to turn it off. I just can't be on all the time. Do you do that stuff or no?
Yes, I do. And
Okay.
Here's what I would say. In fact, I have a big joke about it. When it's a conscious choice, it's not unconscious.
Got it. Easy.
So, yeah, it's not unconscious. That's what it is. There is a difference between saying, I'm turning off now. I'm off. I'm off. So that's different.
Got
to
it.
me. That's different. I had one of the teachers who I learned the most about this was a powerful woman, just like an Amazon of a woman. She taught my Phoenix Rising yoga therapy training. And some people watching this may even have known Karen Hascarl. I love to say her name because she was an amazing human being. And she would teach these powerful intensives, Liz. I mean, she could contain a group of up to 30 people and keep us contained for an entire week. And she would be completely present to everyone, and such an amazing example. And I discovered when I was in my level 3 training, we got to be more friendly. I was kind of more like worshiping her from afar in the beginning, but by level 3, after a whole year, I got to know her better. And I discovered that after every one of those trainings, she does binge watching of very violent movies, like shooting and killing blood.
No way.
Yes. And I said, I couldn't even grasp it. And she goes, you have to balance. When you've had that much light, there's going to be dark. And she goes, I'd rather do it with a movie than attract. Hello. Isn't
Genius.
Brilliant. It's genius. She goes, I'd rather do it in a movie than have it come out with my husband or my kids, or I'd rather just get So I've never brought myself actually to that kind of movie because I just can't do it. Yeah. But I have binge watched TV episodes of something that are mindless.
Yes.
They're entertaining, but to help me just, and I also, there was a phase, I used to speak a lot, go on the road speaking, and when I would do a keynote address, I worked with an organization, there would be 1,000 women per audience, and then I would sign books afterwards. And so can you imagine, like, I'm on and I'm happy and I do my talk, and then not all 1,000 got a book, but a lot of them. The line would be really long, and I want to engage with every woman, and I hug every woman. And afterwards, I always just wanted to say cuss words. And it was the funniest thing. I would just want to say fart and cuss and fuck, and I don't have a big cuss vocabulary, as you can see, but
that was so cute.
Yeah, but that's what I just would feel like. And I wanted to just say something like, oh, get out of here, like that. Like and so I would do it jokingly because I couldn't quite, it would help me kind of, so I didn't really answer your exact question, but it just reminded me.
It was perfect. That balance.
It's balance. It's true. And the more that I do, as you know, I do sessions, and so I'm tapping into my guides and their guides, and I expand huge so that I'm actually feeling what they're feeling. And when they're over, I'm so lucky because I have a 17-year-old son. He doesn't want to talk about that stuff. And so I get to come into a male teenage world is the perfect balance for the kind of work that I do. And when he goes to college, I don't know what I'll do. I'll have to figure it out. But balance.
I love that. So that was the one. I forgot.
Fatal Price.
It'll come back or something different. But that's so great because you were talking about the balance, but then there was also something I wanted to ask you around judgment, originally around the topic of like the open heart, big fucking fence. And this came up with another one of our mutual friends, also named Danielle, the other day, is this just is a big thing that a lot of people don't get. We feel ashamed about our judgments, and we don't realize when we're being judgmental versus sometimes we're just being discerning.
Exactly. You got the words out of my mouth. That's what I would say. The big problem, I have a huge issue with whenever someone says, not to be judgmental, but I'm like,
just be judgmental.
Just say be discerning. And if you have a discernment, there's a difference between, as you said, judgmental and judging, and being discerning, and so and critical thinking and playing out criticism. So keep the critical thinking, keep the good judgment, keep the judging, discerning abilities. Judgmental is putting value. Yeah. So let me think about this. I want to be clear in my words, because we are putting value, but when you're being discerning, you're valuing what's good for you. So we're allowed to say, you know what, that is not good. That's not good for me. Yeah. It doesn't mean it's bad. It means it's not good for me. So there's a difference saying bad and good. And this is a skill, anyone who has studied in the Ayurveda, we talk about the gunas, which are qualities. And in the Vedic texts, you can divide everything into 20 gunas, like soft, hard, smooth, rough, like things like that. And when you can describe something with a guna, everything can be everything. It's a real fun challenge, too. In fact, I would challenge everyone. Just print it out. I'm sure you could Google it, Guna, Guna. Make a list of the 20 gunas. and see if instead of saying, don't let yourself get away with saying that's good or bad, because that is judgmental. And not that, let me see, it's not clear. It's a little bit of a cop-out to say that's bad. Be clear. Why is it what you're wanting to say, especially if you're referring to yourself, it's not what good for me. Why? And I could say that's too hot for me. It's too sharp for me. That's too sticky for me. That's too heavy for me. I need something lighter. I need something smoother. I need something. Now, there's no judgment. You're telling the qualities. You're being discerning. And so there you have it. I mean, this is freedom. When you can learn how to speak in the gunas, that is a real freedom. That's
amazing. I had never heard of that before. And I love exactly what you said there, that value piece, because that's something, and I don't know, you can tell me if this has been your experience or not, but I've found as I study more and more of this stuff, I become more energetically sensitive. So I actually waited almost 2 years almost 2 years to finish my Reiki training, because after I did my level 2, I was just so sensitive. I was worried, like, I don't know if I can handle being any more sensitive than this. And so lately, like, we moved to this new community, and I've been, like, hyper discerning about where I want to go, who I want to be around. And my partner gets upset with me sometimes because he thinks I'm being judgmental. And I'm like, no, like, and it's that same thing you said. Like, I'm not placing value. I'm not better than them. It's not about that. It's just about, it's not for me. Or like, it's the thing I like to say, because I think it makes sense for most people, is like, that's just not my vibe right now.
Right.
Like, it's just not like what I want to invite in for me.
Yeah. And you have a right. This is for women especially. We feel like we don't have the right to do what's good for us. Mm-hmm. And then in order to please everyone else around us, so that is the lesson. And I think it's however you language it, make it about you. This is your choice. Exactly. And, it's just not what you need right now.
Yeah. And so how about, I mean, to me, you just feel like this super solid, like, and it's probably just because you've been practicing all these things for longer and probably more consistently. But do you have those moments? Like, are you super sensitive to certain things, or talk about that a little bit.
Yes. Oh, of course. Danielle Laporte and I call it crazy lady when we become crazy ladies. Yes. There's a saying, the bigger the light, the bigger the shadow.
Oh.
So, yeah, big is big, and long-time practice is long-time practice. So, first of all, I have everything that every woman has. We all have them. Every self-doubt. I have done practices that really, really help. I'm trying to think what would be helpful to know. But I use my tools. I call a friend. That's like, what's that game show? I call a friend.
Who wants to be a millionaire?
Exactly. Yeah. I'll call a friend. Calling a friend, women are wired for connection. And physically, chemically, we're wired for connection. Oxytocin is our connecting hormone. And we do better. I mean, if you look at the literature, we do better connecting with each other. So, yes, I have crazy lady moments. And I know I'm going into so we're all different, and I talk in Ayurvedic terms, so I go out of balance, kapha, vata, which is either depressed or anxiety, spinning, or just down, down, down. So when I catch myself going on either one of those extremes, then I know what to do. The trick is, how quickly do I do it? How far do I let myself slip before I do it? And on a good day, I do it pretty quickly. I catch it, and I know what to do. And Ayurveda is. I would want for every woman to know the basics of Ayurveda. I mean, I have a free ebook. They can get it. I mean, it's just.
Oh yeah, is it on your
easy.
website?
It's on my website. Yeah, so go to drdebkern.com.
Great.
I'm pretty sure. Well, I'll make sure that it happens. That if you, you know how that is. That if you put your name and the email address, you're going to get that book. You're going to get
cool.
Yeah, it's a chapter from a book I wrote in the 90s about Ayurveda. Why I'm saying that is, that has been, if I had to say the single most helpful, which is a very difficult thing to say, but I would say, learning Ayurveda would be the single most helpful thing for me in terms of, my self-care and catching myself when I'm going way out of whack, because it helps me catch it sooner, and the tools are practical and they work. So I don't know if that helped answer your question.
It's super helpful. And so the homework assignment, if you're watching, is go get that thing, but just also anything you could do to check out the basics of Ayurveda. And I dig that, you've said, and so many women have said this during this series, like everyone's reactions to stuff is different. And I actually thought of a book called Attached as you were saying that, that I haven't read. I downloaded it. But it was more about in relationship, how some people avoid, some people cling, and some people just like totally just like check out. So it's different. And then there's different combinations, which it sounds is like kind of similar.
It is similar. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Ayurveda, I can tell you right here the gist of it. There are three basic ways that people respond to stress. One way is spinning, worried, anxious, fearful, whoo, like that. And the symptoms are things like irritable bowel syndrome, constipation, joint achiness, losing weight, that kind of stuff, losing hair, losing sleep. Second way is getting pissed off, angry at everybody. Everything irritates you, and so you become more inflamed. So you become more critical, more judgmental. You're quick to fly off the handle, anything that sounds fiery. And the third way goes down, depression, lethargy. They get heavier. Can't think of how to get out of the situation, and so you can pretty much divide every reaction to stress in one of those three categories. And once you figure out how you're responding, you just do the thing that brings that back into balance. It's really pretty simple. Yeah,
it is super simple, and I love that you also talked about like having a toolbox because we all do, right? We all have like. Or we don't, and maybe you've used this series to gather and assemble your toolbox, because that's what has happened in all of these interviews. All these amazing women are sharing what they do when they feel this way or that, and during these various experiences, which is really freaking cool. But have a freaking toolbox, right?
Have a toolbox. I want to tell you another thing in my toolbox, just because you mentioned that book Attached. I don't know that book, so I'm going to look at it. But do you know the 5 love languages, that book? Love that. I love simple tools.
Me too.
And the 5 love languages, if you don't know it, if you're watching this, Gary Chapman is the author's name. And, it's not highly scientific. I'm sure his questionnaire is not valid or reliable or all the other things PhDs look at. I say, who cares? Because I've been using it. I've been using it in my own life. I think I found it whenever the book was written. And I've co-facilitated fertility retreats with couples for a decade. And I've worked with couples, and to witness what happens with that simple tool. So I just want to put a plug. I want to put a plug for that, because that's just huge. That was huge. Learning that was like, what?
And so it's funny. Fun fact: I've never even read the book. I just took the test, got the gist of the 5 love languages.
Exactly.
And it's great. So wait, what are they?
Okay. Gifts given, words of acknowledgement, physical touch, quality time spent. And words of acknowledgement. Did I say words of acknowledgement? Quality. Acts of service.
Acts of service.
Acts of service. Because that's one of mine. Mine are acts of service and quality time spent. Then it's physical touch, words of affirmation, and gifts.
Yeah. So isn't it funny? It's so amazing in any kind of relationship. This was something that came up around a big conversation with my mom last summer, where it just dawned on me like, like the way she receives love is not the way my dad, my brother, or I give it.
Oh, poor thing.
I know. So 2 things about that, even your reaction, all of a sudden, this new level of compassion I never had from my mom before, realizing that like, oh my God, we love her so much.
Yep.
And she doesn't feel it because it's not coming the way that she would prefer it comes.
That's right. She speaks Greek, and you're telling it to her in Latin.
Yeah.
She doesn't know what you're talking about. You could be talking about the weather. Yeah. You're telling her you love her. Yeah.
And then the reverse effect is we feel like there's nothing we could possibly do that could be good enough because it's just not. And then once you realize that, you're like, oh. And even still, if she's not receiving it the way we give, at least she knows now when we're giving it, because she gets, oh, that's how you do that. It's so liberating.
So liberating. It's so liberating. You know, I'm just laughing because I remember I read it before my son was born, and he's 17, so that tells you how long ago. And the poor kid, because I was so into it, I do all 5 for him, like in case. He's like, Mom, it's okay. Mom, I got it, Mom. It's good. It's cool.
So great.
Yeah.
So, to wrap up, I've been enjoying asking most people this question. Under the topic of Untame the Wild Soul Woman, is there anything I didn't ask you that you wish I had?
If you had asked me, here's a question I would ask myself. What's the single, if you could pick one single action that feels like you untamed your soul, what was it?
Where were you when I was figuring out these questions? That's so good.
And I would tell it because I was thinking that, for me, I'm so kinesthetic, and so my body is the way. And I just want to tell this story in case it helps somebody out there. When I had first of all, I'm the oldest daughter of a German Lutheran family from Texas. So I grew up very straight and narrow and proper and timely. Actually, early was on time, and not in touch with my body, but a physical person. So I think that a lot of women are like that. You don't have to be German Lutheran. You could be any religion and something about that. So after I had my son, I was 40 when I had my son, and I just was feeling like doo-doo. And I could not figure out what to do about it. And so I was doing all the exercise things, and my body was getting back into shape, but I just felt like, bleh. And I still didn't know what to do about it. And I saw in the our local, it's called Fun Ed, so it's adult education at a community college, courses like meditation and knitting and Microsoft Windows for adults and that kind of stuff. Striptease for housewives. So I took it. And this was in 1998. And so I said I was going to take a cooking class. And I went out and I showed up, and it was just a bunch of us. We were all in our 40s, and we didn't know what to do. And we had this striptease lady, a former stripper, taught us a routine. And it was like a corny routine, like we had to pretend like we were a secretary, and we dropped our pencil and bend over and that kind of stuff. Anyway, I learned the routine. And I came home, and after weeks of going to this class, I had it, and then I got my costume together, and I got my boom box, and I got the cassette tape with the song that we had learned, and I had it all queued up, and the baby had the baby monitor on in his room. I was free to do my dance, and so my husband was sitting on the sofa, and I was so nervous I didn't want to do it. I thought I was just gonna die of nerves, and I made myself do it. I pushed play. I walked out into the living room right in front of the TV that had the football game on, and I did it. I did this number, this whole striptease number, with my pretend glasses and my push-up bra and the whole thing. And he sat there on the sofa like this. He didn't move at all. And the whole time I was watching him, I was thinking, oh my God, this is terrible. This is terrible. This is stupid. I shouldn't have done it. Oh my gosh, what was I thinking? And when I finished and the music stopped, he was still sitting there, and he was like, could you do that again? And what I want to say is it in that moment, it was the striptease partly, but it was my willingness to do whatever it took to find the part of me that was sensual. And even though it was a caricature of my true sensuality, now you don't have to do that. You can take a Koya class. You can take an S Factor class. You can take a wild soul, feminine movement, Liz D'Alto class. You can get your body. But what you're doing, Liz, by teaching movement, and women can access this online safely, they don't have to go to the Fun Ed department and learn from a stripper. And it wasn't bad. But I want to say that it was the single most important thing I did, because it showed me what my power was. I had no idea that just by moving my body a certain way would have that kind of impact. And it shifted. It was like a tectonic plate shift in everything. Like the whole world moved just because I was willing to do that. So that's what I would have said.
I love it. Thank you. So the website is drdebkern.com. There's all kinds of amazing Ayurvedic goodies there. I don't know if I ever told you, I made your kitchery once, and I just had so much fun with you in my kitchen on my laptop. Adorable. Yeah. You're just so freaking great. And we talked about some deep topics, some advanced stuff today, but I think what's so magical about you is you are that soft place to land. So for me anyway, and I can only speak for myself, I can't speak for people watching, but it doesn't feel harsh, intimidating, or even like I have to do it. It's just, it's presented. I can try it if I want to, just like everyone else watching, and super great. So thank you so, so much.
My pleasure, Liz.
Talk to you later.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
I teach something within my programs called the alchemical formula. And alchemy is this process of turning pain or turning metal or turning something that's really hard into gold. And if we can apply this alchemical formula to anything in our lives, then we have the power to transform it, to really find the gold in whatever it is that just happens. And the way that I work with this formula is that it has 3 pieces. The first piece is that inner stillness piece, where we have to spend that time inside to find what are the answers here, what is really happening. Because otherwise our mind just starts going into all these stories and all these different things that's going on. So it's coming back to that truth.